Actual nurse to get EMTs in place as long as we have phone contact with nurses should the EMTs have questions and so forth. It's a challenging situation when a storm like this comes up and we have to open as many shelters as we have. But so far the needs have been met locally, and we're very, very appreciative of the support we've had from the nursing community.
Well, we certainly thank you for joining us this late hour with all of that information. It's really been amazing how many people have turned out to help staff so many emergency shelters around the state, and we thank you for joining us.
Great, thank you.
Thanks. Well, we're going to wrap up shortly. Don will be back with a complete one-hour wrap-up of all the events. This storm has taken a life here in Connecticut and about 21 nationwide. We will have all of that latest information, tips on how to prepare your house for possible power outages, because we may be facing that later again this evening. Again, this storm is not over. Bruce DePriest will be back with the latest on that. Don will be back into his, I believe, 12th or 13th hour of this coverage, so please stay with us right here on Channel 3 for a full hour on all of this storm's potential and what it has brought to Connecticut. Thank you for joining us, and we'll be back in just a few moments.
What makes us all the same is that we're all different. And for us individuals, AT&T introduces the I plan, long distance that fits the way you live, because it's based on your life. I is for calling plans without complications, people who speak your language, and doing things that used to be impossible from almost anywhere on Earth. Imagine having your own I plan. I is for individual, only from AT&T.
Dear Midas, after getting an outrageous estimate at my dealer, I came back to your shop. Your mechanics,
John, Jim, Ron, Robert,
gave me a free estimate, stayed late to finish the job, and even pointed out that my brake pads were under warranty, saving me a lot. I was so thankful for...
From Channel 3 Eyewitness News, this is a Winter Watch Update.
High winds and a threat of flooding force evacuations along the Connecticut shoreline. More than a foot of snow falls across southern New England as state officials work round the clock, many of them feverishly, to soften the blow of Blizzard 93. Good evening, I'm Don Lark. This is a special edition of Eyewitness News Night Beat as we continue our Channel 3 team coverage of the fierce winter storm that has pounded southern New England, which has forced the governor to declare a state of emergency at 10 o'clock this morning. One storm-related death is reported tonight in Wallingford, where police say a snowmobile struck a utility pole on North Branford Road, throwing two people from the vehicle, killing one of them. Nationwide, at least 29 people have died in the storm that has had a major impact on 24 states. The snow, the sleet, the rain, the wind seem to have quieted down at this hour, but not for much longer. Channel 3's Bruce DePriest has been tracking the storm since early this morning, and he joins us now with the very latest. Bruce?
Well, Don, Bridgeport has reported winds less than 10 miles an hour within the last hour or so winds have let up quite a bit. That's because the actual storm center, the calmer part of the storm, is getting toward us. Precipitation has let up quite a bit as well. Just some very light snow falling in downtown Hartford right now, some very light snow at the National Weather Service at Windsor Locks. So precipitation will continue to be quite light for the next several hours, let's say between now and around 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. Let's take a bigger look at the radar on our front-end workstation, and I'll show you what we're worried about for later on tonight. Again, here's the lull occurring right now, the somewhat of a dry slot worked in from off the Atlantic Ocean. But as the storm center moves by to our north, it's going to wrap in more of this snow from the west. So the leading edge of the wraparound moisture is from around Albany down into the New Jersey area, down into the Delmarva Peninsula, and that's going to be moving in here in the hours after midnight. Let's say between 3 and 6 p.m. we should start to see some steady snow and heavier snow work back into the area. Now, 6 a.m. right. Between 3 and 6 a.m. we should see the heavier snow work back into the area. Also, temperatures across upstate New York and Pennsylvania are down into the teens, and as winds kick in from the northwest and that cold air blows into the area, that will tend to squeeze out some of the moisture in the form of snow. So we could see additional accumulations later on tonight and during tomorrow morning before the dry air finally wins out and we see all that precipitation come to an end tomorrow afternoon. Let's take a look at the warnings still in effect for the shoreline, and we still have a coastal flood warning in effect during the overnight hours. Also a storm warning continues. That's for northwest winds kicking in at 30 to 50 knots as the storm center passes by to our north, and right now the storm is approaching Long Island. High tides coming in at 1:49 in the morning in New London, ranging to 3:39 in the morning in Bridgeport, and that's about the time the storm center will be crossing the Connecticut shoreline, perhaps even by to our north by then. So I don't think we're going to see any severe coastal flooding during the next round of high tide. I'll be back with a complete forecast coming up in a few minutes, but right now back to Don.
All right, appreciate it, Bruce, all day and all night long. From the heavy snow to the sleet and the rain, Channel 3's Dennis House has been out in it all day long. He is down on the shoreline now, joining us live from New Haven Harbor. Dennis, we understand many people from several towns have been forced out of their homes because of the storm.
Yes, they have. Their main objective tonight is to, of course, stay warm, but also to find out what's going to be happening to their waterfront homes or even homes near the water. What we're going to be doing is keeping an eye on the tides all night for you. High tide is expected around here anywhere between 2 and 4, depending upon where you live. I believe it's like 10 minutes of 1 in New London and 3:20-something here in New Haven, and then 3:38 in the Bridgeport, Milford area. And that's where we concentrated most of our efforts tonight, where a lot of people they're used to flooding down there, but they're out of their homes tonight, and many are in shelters. This forced these people into this, a shelter.
I was home, you know, I was supposed to work tonight, security work, and I waited until the fire trucks come, you know. They usually blow the horn and tell you to get out, you know, and that's when I grabbed my stuff and went.
Ken Kelly and a handful of his neighbors from Milford's Silver Sands beach section are spending the night in this shelter because high tides may flood out their homes.
We put everything upstairs, you know. We had to get everything out from downstairs in the house, bring everything up, shut off all our power, make sure that we didn't lose everything like we did the last time.
There have been plenty of last times. These people are no strangers to crashing tides. Some of their houses still bear the scars of the December storm.
We had 21 inches of water in our living room in December, and of course we don't want that to happen again.
We just finished fixing the house after all the damage from the last storm. So now, keep my fingers crossed, we don't get as much as we did the last time. That's what we can do.
Red Cross workers here try to make a night in the shelter as comfortable as possible. They provide a warm place to sleep, a hot meal, and entertainment. But overall, the shelter experience can be a very stressful one.
A lot of them very worried. They don't even want to lie down. They want to, you know, sit it out. They're in the sitting room with their feet up on chairs. I'm trying to get them, you know, to come to cot. You know, they just don't want to face the reality that they have to spend the night here. I think if they go to the cot, they know that they're stuck for the night. They're all eager for news of the beach area.
Now, I was told by that nurse that if you do have to be evacuated sometime over the night, make sure you do a couple of things. Turn off all your gas in your house. Take along some medicines with you. If you take any medicines on a regular basis and you go to the shelter, they may not be able to provide you with those medicines there, so bring that sort of stuff with you. Right now, it's kind of dry. There's no sleet, no rain, no snow at this time, but it's supposed to pick up later on. But it was sleeting earlier, which is putting a coat over the ice. In fact, I'll show you what some of the snow out here looks like. It's pretty solid. This is the top of what your snow looks like. It's very crunchy if you walk on it, so the roads are very slippery. This is what's covering a lot of the roads down here. There's not as much snow down here as there is in the Hartford area. Certainly along the shoreline, more rain and sleet than we were getting in the northern part of the state. Don?
Well, okay, thank you, Dennis. And as you heard Bruce report, more snow certainly on the way, beginning probably sometime after 3 o'clock this morning. Dennis House on the shoreline, thank you for that report. Blizzard Josh has dumped between 8 inches and 18 inches at various locations across the state. In West Hartford, heavy snow all day kept many people inside, but there were some people spotted on the roads and in the stores attempting to stock up at the last minute.
How's the driving out there?
A little slippery, but it can be done. You know, I mean, I'm used to driving in the snow, so I don't mind it.
Where are all your passengers?
I think everybody's trying to get home today.
Just coming home from work, trying to get home.
How's the driving been so far?
It's all right.
So actually, you know, you got to take your time and go slow. Can't get too nervous and panic.
All right, tell us, what are people coming in here and buying today?
Anything that'll make light, heat, or burn, or shovel snow.
Are too many of these people waiting till the last minute, you think?
Yes, yeah, they do. They wait to the last minute. But they're afraid of the hurricane winds, I think, mostly.
What are you selling out of?
What are we selling out of?
Yeah, you running out of anything?
Oh, we're out of shovels. We're out of snow pushers. We've been out of batteries several times today. We are out of batteries now.
Candles and all that?
We have flashlights with batteries. We're out of sterno, lamp oil, kerosene. We're out.
Along the shoreline, snow changed over to sleet and rain, high winds creating quite a scene. Many people took it all in stride.
Most of the people that got evacuated got out on their own. We haven't helped anybody out yet that I'm aware of. They all left on their own.
How many people have left?
I have no idea. Most of the people that live along the side streets have been leaving on.
Is this about as bad as you've seen?
Yeah. I remember 78, when at least you were walking around. It wasn't sleeting like this. This seemed as windy. But now, we used to run the snowmobiles on the road, and now you can't do that.
We've been all over the place. We came down from the valley. Finally got one of them storms your grandparents used to tell you about and you never believed.
What do you think about this guy?
This is great. This is great. We love it.
Waited a long time for a storm like this. Forecasters are always saying, foot of snow, we get rain, or we get nothing. Now they're finally right. They predicted it perfectly.
I think the storm should not have come because my daffodils are out in the backyard. So it's, you know, I don't think it'll hurt them much, but I wasn't ready for this.
Well, power outages are considered relatively few tonight. Northeast Utilities just reporting within the last half hour that 11,000 plus, nearly 12,000 customers without power. That's down from 30,000 plus at the peak. Most of the power outages are located in southeastern Connecticut. We see Governor Weiker's picture there. And he, of course, as we reported, declared a state of emergency due to the storm. He and state officials have been working together at the State Armory in Hartford through the day, and they plan to work into the night, keeping tabs on the storm's progress and the damage. Channel 3's Mika Brzezinski has also been at the State Armory all day and joins us live now with the latest. Mika?
Well, Don, the Office of Emergency Management has been up and running since 7 o'clock this morning. Officials from state departments and agencies have been gathering information from across the state all day long. They've been collecting it and making decisions upon it. They've been briefing the governor throughout the day. He was here twice before. Earlier, he toured the state to take a look at some of the storm damage himself. He did come here. He addressed the public and basically asked people to sit tight and stay safe.
Want to be outside. Leave it to the great people of the state of Connecticut who are keeping the roads open, and the police and the DEP people and the local emergency forces. And very frankly, when you wake up in the morning, the world is going to still be there. It's probably going to look pretty white, but you'll be alive, and that's the main thing.
With me now live is Jim Neal. He's the director of this office. He's been here all day, and I think a lot of us are getting tired. Jim, what's the mood in there, first of all? You all have been working real hard.
Well, Mika, that's true. A lot of people are tired. We're looking forward to shift changes later on this evening. People get a few hours sleep before we're back up early in the morning.
You got cots or anything, or what do you guys are going to be here all night. We're going to be back on at 6 o'clock tomorrow morning to talk to you all. How are you going to get through the night, and who's going to be doing what?
Well, a few of us do have cots, but others will be on duty while some sleep, and then we'll shift early tomorrow morning.
What is the situation now in terms of the latest, and what are you all looking at as this night goes on?
Well, right now, because most of the traffic has subsided almost entirely throughout the state, the snow removal operations are in full swing. All of DOT is working. Some of the crews from Northeast Utilities are beginning to stand down. We hope within another hour or two, we'll only have 44 crews on duty. That will give an opportunity for the other 200 to rest and be back up tomorrow morning at 7 a.m.
Long day. Jim Neal, thank you very much for joining us, and we'll be talking to you again throughout the storm. Again, Don, this is the nerve center of this storm. It's been busy all day. They've had a very organized, coordinated effort. They've been getting information to us throughout the day, and I guess tomorrow they'll be doing the same. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Mika, and we'll be checking in with you once more shortly before midnight. Well, if you've been stuck in the house all day, you might get the impression that things are pretty quiet outside, but indeed, lots of people are at work, and as Channel 3's Dan Kane found out, some people are out playing in all this snow.
That's the situation, Don. They're out working, they're out playing. It's, to some people, it's another day on the job. To some people, it's an emergency. And to some people, it's just a good time to get out and have some fun. Take a look. There was plenty of action in City Hall in Hartford tonight, with Mayor Carrie Saxon Perry helping to coordinate the emergency relief efforts of the various city departments, who are up to their ears in work. And city officials aren't the only ones on the job. We ran into this fellow riding his bike down Burnside Avenue in East Hartford on his way to work.
Jesus said, where there's a will, there's a way, period.
And this here is your will and your way.
This is it. So I got to be there, so hey, I got to go.
Now, these are people who have to go out to work tonight. People like me. We got to work, right? But what about the people that go out because they want to go out? What on earth is going through their minds? How you doing, champ?
Good.
You going to take the mask off?
Yeah.
What brought you out tonight?
Play video games.
All this way to play video games?
Yeah.
On your bike?
Yeah.
In the snow?
Yeah.
You like video games?
Yeah, very much.
Okay, how long did it take you to get here?
Half hour.
A half an hour?
Yeah.
You're crazy. Crazy or not, video games, whatever, when you gotta get out, you gotta get out. Dan Kane, Channel 3, Eyewitness News.
And Dan had to get out. Thanks, Dan. Well, you've heard the warnings about staying off the road. There's one group of vehicles, the folks at the Red Cross, wanted on the roads. Jim Weisfich will have that story when we continue our team coverage of the blizzard named Josh. Stay with us.
Introducing the new Subaru Impreza Hill Holder. You'll find it on all of our manual transmissions. At the moment, the brake is on, so the wheel isn't moving. The brake is now being released. The new Impreza is out of gear, and the wheel still hasn't moved. It's not often a car can impress you simply by standing.
How can you prepare this evening in case the power goes out while you're asleep? Well, as she has since 10 o'clock this morning, Channel 3's Deborah Kent is standing by in the Satellite Center with some helpful advice. Deb?
Don, it's been a long day for all of us, but the first information we'd like to give you are the numbers to call if you do experience a power outage, because that still could be ahead of us. Here they are. If you are a Northeast Utilities customer, please write down this number so you have it handy when you need it. It's 1-800-286-2000. If you're a customer of United Illuminating, the number is 1-800-722-5584. And if you're a customer in Wallingford, there is a number to call. That number is 265-5055. Okay, but many of you may go to sleep tonight to find yourself out of power before sunrise. How can you best prepare? Well, we have some advice for you. The first thing, you should power up in case there's a power out. Keep that thermostat up in your house. I know a lot of us like to turn it down, but keep it heated in case you lose power. You start from a higher temperature. Close off any unneeded rooms. Keep the heat where you need it most. Keep a flashlight by the bed. Obviously, if you lose power in the middle of the night, you wake up in the dark, you should have that alternative light source nearby. Also, have your alternative heat source ready. Stoke or build up that fireplace, have the matches nearby, so if you need to light it in the future, you've got it there. Also, pile up the blankets on the beds, and also around the doors and around the windows to keep the heat in. Also, in case of a power outage, you might want to fill your tub and your containers before you go to bed with water, just in case you need some water in the morning. And unplug all unnecessary appliances, things you won't be using tonight. If you lose power and then the power comes back on, you could experience a power surge, which could really do some damage to your appliances. So unplug anything you don't need before you go to bed. Now, we have had some calls of snowdrifts piling up against the doors, and how can you prevent that while you're asleep? Well, some viewers have called with some advice. They say if you have a folding table, you could lean up against that door on the outside, gives you a little bit of a shelter, that gives you a couple of feet of opening as an escape hatch. Of course, hopefully, we hope you have another door on the lee side of the storm. But also, another viewer called reminding parents not to let young children play near the curbs of piled up snow tomorrow. The plows will not see them, and that is a dangerous situation. So that's the best advice we have for you at this hour. We'll take tomorrow as it comes, Don.
All right, good advice all around. Thank you, Deborah. Well, it seems no matter how tough the situation, no matter how bad the weather, the Red Cross always somehow manages to get through with help. And today was no exception, as Channel 3's Jim Weisfich explains.
Jim Levine's truck hit the road early today, filled with food. Not for himself, but for the hundreds of volunteers helping the state through this crisis. Jim is one of the Red Cross four-wheel drive volunteers, drivers who can get the food and other volunteers to the places where they're needed most.
Yeah, it's either the Red Cross calls me or Bristol Hospital calls me too. I've done four-wheeling for them, taking the nurses back and forth from the hospital to their homes or picking them up from home to the hospital.
The stops today included Hartford City Hall and the Connecticut Armory. Not very dramatic, no late-night rescues, no sheltered masses, just the kind of unheralded service that makes the Red Cross the Red Cross.
Dave, how old are you?
14.
So what the heck, you should be home playing Nintendo or something like that. I thought it'd be fun.
But it's not just this one trip. There are other trips as well because these volunteers have to feed other volunteers who are trying to keep everybody safe during the storm. That means thousands of sandwiches on this day and gallons of coffee. And this is where it all begins, at the Hartford Hospital kitchen, round-the-clock service for round-the-clock volunteers.
So you'll keep making sandwiches and food for the shelters as well?
Right. Yes.
Any idea how many you think you'll make by the time this storm is past?
Well, 1,000.
The day is over by 7 o'clock, but Jim and his fellow four-wheelers will be back on the road tomorrow, just because they're needed. I'm Jim Vicevich, Channel 3 Eyewitness News.
Well, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we'll see that Connecticut is not the only place hit hard by this storm. We'll take a look at other areas that have taken a beating. Plus, political reporter Doobie McDowell meets with President Clinton. Hear what he has to say when we come back. Don't go away.
Dear Midas, my car was making a terrible squeaking noise. You said...
You don't need new brakes.